Hello folks, I'm Alex. This is Alex Unabridged. Welcome or welcome back to the channel if that is the case. Yes, a little Garbaugust wrap up for you today, and it will be a little wrap up as well because I had a very low key Garbaugust this year. I usually go all out and all in on all the trash and try and fill the bingo board, do all the weekly prompts, all of that. And this year I didn't. I didn't read much at all. In fact, 4 books I got through for Garbaugust this year. Yeah, August was just kind of a bit of a tricky month for me this year for various reasons. So I decided to just take a step back from it a bit, not try and do too much. I took a step back from hosting as well. And just, it was really nice to just read a bit of trash when I wanted. So I did keep it really low key. So I just want to sum up my thoughts on the 4 books that I managed to get through in August, because I did have some good fun. Even though I only read a few, I had fun with all of them. So first up then, I tried to keep to the weekly prompts thereabouts, just to kind of have some sort of structure. And so the first weekly prompt was anything goes. Well, that's easy. I tend, when it's anything goes, tend to go down the route of novelizations, tie-ins, that kind of thing, because I love that kind of stuff. And I picked Alien Out of the Shadows, which is a forecast dramatization on Audible, or it's an Audible original, of the book by Tim Levin. This first one, it's part of a trilogy of dramatizations, and this first one was done in 10 episodes of about half an hour each, so about 5 hours in total. And this one's set between the events of Alien and Aliens. So Ripley's, got away from the Nostromo, but she's in hypersleep and she's lost in space, essentially. And this one picks up to start with a crew of a mining ship called the Marion, and they are mining on planet LV-178, where they find trimonite, which is the hardest material known to mankind, and other things, as you might imagine. Yeah, when a shuttle crashes into their ship, they learn that there's more than this trimonite in the deep caverns. They do, of course, uncover a nest of xenomorphs. And they quickly discover that their best hope for survival actually is going to come from a rather unlikely source. Ripley, of course. Her shuttle, her ship, its course intersects with where they are, and they wake her up, and of course she knows about the threat that they're about to face. So yeah, this one I think was outstanding. This was such a good time. I could have quite happily listened to this in one sitting. It got to I think it got to about 2:30 in the morning. I kind of went, no, stop, listen to the rest of it tomorrow. But yeah, this was excellent. This was exactly what I want from an Alien book or audio book or any kind of Alien thing, really. It's got all the right sort of tension, the right sort of action that you want from something in the Alien franchise. The actor who plays Ripley, Laurel Lefko, I think her name is brilliant. Absolutely nails it. It's like you forget that it's not Sigourney Weaver. Yeah, she's brilliant. And the rest of the cast, the new characters in it, the new story, are really good. It's really well done. It doesn't try and it doesn't take it to silly places. It's just really good, tense isolation kind of alien horror, which is exactly what I wanted. And the way that they kind of sort of retcon, or well, not really retcon, but the way they explain certain things in terms of the continuity and stuff works really well. And I will say that there is one character in here who is a returning character from the first film, Alien, who is done fantastically in this, absolutely fantastically, and really adds an extra level of tension and sort of kind of a sinister nature to it. I won't say any more than that because it would be spoilers. But yeah, if you like the Alien franchise and you haven't listened to Out of the Shadows or read Out of the Shadows, it is, as I say, it's a book as well. You can, get it and read the novel. Then yeah, I would highly recommend. I think that one's a great one. And I loved that so much that I went straight on to the second in this trilogy, which is Alien River of Pain. This one is another full cast dramatisation, but it's done in one chunk of 5 hours this time rather than split up. And this is based on the book by Christopher Golden. This has got Philip Glenister, Anna Friel in it, Lauren Lefkoe again as Ripley. When you think back, if you know Aliens, then obviously they are, you know, the Marines and Ripley are going to this colony to figure out why it's gone dark, why they can't, you know, hear, where they don't hear from anybody. This is how it fell, essentially, this story. So most of it is on LV-426, which is the original planet from Alien, where they find the xenomorphs. And it's the life of the colony, it's the people living there, and the fact that they are, you know, kind of still investigating, that they're mining the parts of the planet. You've got the colonial marines coming in, and you've got it largely focused on two of the residents there, Anne and Russell Jordan, and their two kids, Tim and Rebecca, also known as Newt. So this again is like kind of Newt's origin story. If you know the second movie, then this is kind of all about Newt essentially. This one was still good fun, really good fun, much more trashy in its presentation than the first one. It wasn't as good, though it took a long time to get going, I think, with the action. There was a lot of kind of sort of setup of the society, of the sort of people in the colony and the way things were run and that kind of stuff. There was a lot, for a 5 hour long dramatisation, it felt maybe that there was a little bit too much of that for me. I wanted more aliens, please. The cast was decent, but I will say that like there was a lot more cheesy performances in it. It felt just more cheesy, and for Garb August, that's perfect because it felt more trashy for sure. But yeah, as I say, it was just a bit slower, whereas like the first one, Out of the Shadows, was like bang, you're in straight away. It was great, and it was just, you know, it was paced super well. Whereas this one I felt was just a little bit unbalanced in its pacing. But it was still very good fun, and as it ramped up towards the end, it was good fun. But as I say, it was pretty cheesy. There were some pretty amusing kind of death scenes, if you like, in terms of like the screams and the sounds of people dying were a little bit like OTT, a little bit over the top, a little bit amateur perhaps, amdram. But yeah, it was still highly entertaining. So that's the two Alien tie-ins that I got through, both very enjoyable. I will go on and read the third one, or listen to the third one, which is Sea of Sorrows, because I just really enjoy those. They're really easy listening. Right, so next one I kind of read for sort of week 2's prompt, which was kind of shock value, and I went with Fathomless by Greg Beck. This is a Megalodon story. This one, the difference with this one is that this is a Meg that has survived in a huge subterranean sea, deep down in a cave in Alaska. And it's not the only thing that's survived. There are a lot of other prehistoric fish and sea creatures down there. And this follows Kate Granger, who is a scientist, and she is following in her grandfather's footsteps. Her grandfather, Jim, we see him in the prologue, and he goes to this cave and he finds something in there, and he doesn't come out again. But Kate has been trying to find him, trying to find where he went missing, and finds this cave, and they mount an expedition funded by a Russian billionaire exile, and go out to this cave and get a submersible and go down into this deep cavern this deep subterranean sea, and come across all of these weird and wonderful and rather dangerous creatures. But of course, it's not going to stay contained, is it? The Megalodon. Something happens. I won't go into the details, right? It's quite a convoluted story. But the Megalodon gets out into the vast oceans of the world, and of course causes chaos. So it's kind of two parts. The first part is very much the exploration of the cave, the discovery of all these prehistoric creatures that have survived in this kind of isolated sort of biome, this ecosystem for millions of years when everybody thought they were extinct. And then you've got the second part, which is when something happens and the Meg gets out. And so then you're back sort of on the sea, on the oceans, you know, in kind of modern day. This one was highly entertaining. The first part far more so than the second part, I would say, but I think that's just because it was very different with it being a subterranean sea, and there being lots of other kind of like weird, massive fish in there, as well, like dangerous fish, like weird looking stuff, and of course it's dark, so you've got a lot of bioluminescence, that kind of stuff going on in terms of bioluminescence life forms. Yeah, it was kind of a little bit. There was a little bit of kind of Jules Verne-ness about it. There was almost a little bit of Jurassic Park about it, and obviously, like, you know, the Meg. You know, that's probably the most well known book about megalodons by Steve Alton. Yeah, there's a lot of kind of influences coming in there. There's quite a lot of sciencey stuff in it, actually. The first part, especially like archaeology and kind of marine paleontology, that kind of stuff. That was quite interesting. I really liked that. It's, you know, it's nothing deep, but it was nice to get little bits of information and stuff like that. There was some really weird fish in it that I kind of want to look up, but also kind of don't want to look up because I think they're probably quite scary to see, even a artist's impression of what it might look like. But yeah, that bit was really cool because it was different. You know, it's different from your usual kind of shark thing, or, you know, shark fiction or Meg fiction, that kind of thing. The second part kind of got a bit sillier. The characters weren't as kind of interesting, I guess. But yeah, it was still a good time. But it just became a little bit more kind of predictable, I guess. I mean, I love The Meg by Steve Alton. This, I think, is probably like it's probably better written, but it's not as ridiculous as The Meg. There's not as much sexism in this as there is in the characters in the Meg. The female characters, Alton's female characters, are abysmal. These are better, not amazing, but better. It's good trash. It's good. It's well written. It's a good time. It's very silly. It's very convoluted. It is about, like, you know, what kind of, you know, ridiculous things can we do in this. The pacing of it was really good. It never like got too down into kind of the trying to get into the sciencey stuff or the history stuff, that kind of thing. So yeah, really enjoyed that one. Okay, the final book then, which was for the 4th week's prompt, which was apocalyptic or post-apocalyptic trash. I went for some romance for this. I went back into a series of books that I've been reading steadily over the last few years, and that's the Monstrous series by Lily Mayne, which is male monster post-apocalyptic fantasy romance. So niche. And this one was called Seraph, book 6. This was quite a bit darker than certainly what I remember of the previous books that I've read, darker in tone. I still enjoyed it, but nowhere near as much as I think I've enjoyed the previous 5. This follows Seraph. In this is the monster he's been rescued from essentially a monster fighting ring, and he's been taken back to the camp that we spend a lot of time in the other books as well. It's kind of where the main sort of society, the main human sort of group lives, that we kind of, you know, the characters all interact between. and he's been taken back there, or just outside of the camp, and he's remains in a cage because he's essentially murderous. He's, you know, he's seriously messed up. And he kind of can't really speak. He's the least kind of humanoid of the monsters that we've kind of met in these this series so far. I feel far more on the monster side of things. And it's Lilac's job to guard him. Lilac is a character that we've met again before in previous books, who's kind of a bit of a heavy, I guess. He's quite quiet, quite unassuming, but he's got a darkness to him for sure. And we've kind of only really we've met him a few times in other books, but we've never really kind of got to know him. And this is his story and Seraph's story. So Lilac is there to kind of guard Seraph. He's kind of ready to kill him if he needs to. But as he's the only one who really wants to go near Seraph, because Seraph is so crazed and just odd, as he spends a lot of time with Seraph, he starts to learn more about him and realise that he's not just this murderous thing in a cage. And something develops between them. So this one, it's definitely darker. It's definitely, it's got a sadder tone, I think, to it as well. And I think for me, it's like the spice in it, because these are quite spicy, these books. The spice in it is, it's odd in parts, because I think, you know, of the fact that Seraph is quite odd himself, physically speaking. So yeah, that probably just didn't do as much for me, should we say. It's not necessarily my bag, I guess, I think is probably what I'd say on that. So yeah, they are always good fun, these books to read, but they always come with something more than just, you know, kind of a bit of spicy fun. There is, you know, I like Lily Mayne's approach to it. There's always a real focus on the beauty of difference, however different the creatures, the monsters in this might be. There is always a focus on the beauty of difference, and how you know, don't judge a book by its cover, basically, that there's always more depth to someone. So yeah, I really like the way that she approaches stuff, and I will read the final book in the series, but this one I think so far is probably like my least favourite of it. But it was still a really good fun time, and it definitely fills the post-apocalyptic prompt. Because the whole series is set in a world which has been invaded by monsters from a kind of another dimension type thing, and the United States where it's set is very much a wasteland. So there we go, folks. Those are my 4 trashy books for Garbaugust this year. Yeah, very light Garbaugust for me this time around. I will, of course, though, keep reading trash throughout the year, because trash is for life and not just for Garbaugust. And there's always room for trash. Always room for trash. It's good for the soul, absolutely. At the moment, when you just want something fun and easy, it's a good time, trash is the way to go. I hope that you had a fantastic Garbaugust as well if you participated. So that will do from me today. Thank you very much for watching, folks. As always, do drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do let me know if you've read anything that I've mentioned today, or if you want to recommend anything else that you think I might like based on my my wrap up today. I will be back possibly next week if I get a chance to film something before I go away on holiday. But if not, I will see you in a couple of weeks' time once I'm back. But yes, from me, for now, that's ta-ra.